Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Come with a blog post I want to share with you. Of course, review the latest in social media and technology. This is from one of our favorite carriers, the Sprint, at Sprint.com. That's Sprint.com. You can see all their wonderful phones. We, of course, have all the major phone companies sending us their latest and greatest phones to review. So be sure to subscribe to the ChrisVossShow.com so you can take and get reviews on all the latest and, of course, the comparison videos that we do on all these phones. Now, this is the LG Optimus G. This is the Sprint version and the Korean version, which are the same. Very different than the AT&T version. One of the main differences, well, there's a couple main differences. There's definitely a huge difference in the build and the size of the device itself as compared to the LG Optimus G with AT&T. With AT&T, it has an 8 megapixel camera, where this LG with Sprint and Korean version have 13 megapixel camera. And it works really good, I should say, especially compared to the LG 8 megapixel camera found with AT&T. So it's really up to you to decide which carrier works best for you and which phone works best for you, because they are very different, in fact, just even in size. Watch for our comparison we'll be doing, where we'll be pitting the two of them side by side. So let's get into this phone, what it's about, how it works, etc., etc. It's an Android 4.04 phone. It's very fast. It has a quad-core processor. Now, I fell in love with the AT&T version of the LG Optimus G, and this one has the same sort of speeds and everything else going on when it comes down to the quad core. Just super fast phone in making a huge difference. And what you're going to see is the rollout over the next short while of more and more quad phones like the Galaxy Note 2. Quad-core phones will take over, and of course you're seeing them with 4G being put into them. So that's the real key. You've seen them internationally, but the problem is they didn't have 4G radios in them. So now we're seeing them hit the States. This size of it is 5.19 in height, 2.71 in width, 0.33 in thickness. The weight is 145 grams, which is 5.11 ounces. Screen size 4.70 inches, 768 times 1280 pixels, and 318 ppi, which is very good. It has an IPS LCD 16.7 million color screen, capacitive multi-touch. The battery has a talk time of 13 hours, has a nice massive 2100 milliamp hour battery in it. On the hardware chip, it has a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro. It has the quad-core processor, like we mentioned, 1.5 gigahertz with the Kraut, and it's got 2,048 megabytes of RAM, which is pretty good considering most only have one. It's got 32 gigabytes in the storage. On the camera, you're looking at 13 megapixels out the back, which is pretty freaking huge. We've shot with it. We actually really, really like it. You can do 1080p HD out the back and 1.3 megapixels out the front of the camera. So, like I said, we've really like the camera on the phone, and the phone itself is really good. LG, if you haven't been paying attention, has been building better and better phones, and they're starting to, in my opinion, rival Samsung. A lot of people are still waking up to this fact and haven't noticed it yet, but for my money, I think the Samsung Optimus G on different networks might be one of the best phones that are out there. This phone's a very good phone, especially when it works with Sprint.com. We'll show you some of the benchmarks, and then I'll let you decide which one you like the best. But I definitely think we've seen out of LG the past 3 or 4 or 5 different phones some incredible builds of quality. And, of course, you've seen now that Android recently let LG build their Nexus phone, and it's become very popular. So I think LG is about ready to hit its mark and becoming a hugely popular Android phone, much more than it is, and probably give Samsung something to worry about. You can see here it's got the same classic setup with widgets and everything else, different wallpapers you can do. It's got a finite swipe to it in its operations. You can, of course, do what you can normally do with any Android phone. You can add widgets, wallpapers, you can change the live wallpapers, etc., etc. LG has a great UI with this latest issuance of phones, and I've really been impressed with it. The LG Optimus UI is something you really want to look into. We'll get into that in a second. But they have an amazing way they've set things up. It's really easy to take and do things now, and I've been really impressed with the way they've used their UI to do stuff. They made it very simple and easy to do a lot of tasks that sometimes take a little bit of work in the Android product. Now, this is running on Android 4.04. At this time, we're not sure if there will be a Jelly Bean issuance, but I'm sure there has to be. It does have an NFC chip in it. One thing it does has with these new LGs, it has something called a quick memo, where you can very easily and quickly draw on the screen of whatever you have on the screen. You can choose from different menus to be able to take and do that, and you can create these quick memos, if you will, and all that good stuff. So you can save them and change them around to whatever you take and want to do. Okay, so like we discussed, the UI is something that's very cool and interesting with the LG. We really like some of the setups that you can take and do in here, and controls. You can control your home screen, your lock screen. One thing that's really neat is called gestures, and you can silence incoming calls. You can snooze or stop alarms just by flipping your phone over. And you can even pause video if you want. You can set up the stuff. You can make it easier to move home screen items just by moving your phone. And that's really cool. We like that sort of thing. So that way you're not, if you get a phone call that comes in, you're trying to, hit the button, you can't find it. They do have a power saver option where this will kick in. I think once you get to 30% or so savings, yes, 30% battery level, these things that you choose will kick in to take and save you more battery information or battery life when you're getting low, and help you conserve that last little teeny bit that you got to eke out before maybe you can get to a charger. Now, the quad core is very powerful. It definitely rocks. It's in here. Now, the nice thing is at night when I go to bed, I'll take and turn on the eco mode so that when it's sleeping at night, it's not burning itself down quite as bit with all the notifications that it's taking and pulling. So you can see here, you can click to optimize the CPU control to extend battery life if you so choose, and it will make adjustments cutting down the performance of the device and all that good stuff. You can also take and control it from the menu button up in here, where you can control, I believe you have to edit it in, and you can control the ability to take and adjust the eco mode. I could be wrong on the Sprint. I know you can do it on the other version from the other company, so maybe you can't do it on the Sprint. We'll have to see in the edit section. So we like the UI. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's built into here that I don't see in a lot of other phones, and it of course will watch for your face when if you're looking at it and all that sort of good stuff. So it's got a good system to it. It's very fast, very clean on its UI, all that good stuff. Let's take and do this. Let's take a look at how it benchmarks and how well it did. Now, this is with Sprint. You can go to sprint.com and see their website. Let's take a look at the speed test that we took and did. Now, in the particular area that we're in for the speed test, we had trouble getting a 4G network. We just couldn't get one, no matter how much we tried, and within the area that we film in. So we were kind of stuck with the 3G at this moment. In LA, Sprint isn't very big yet. They're slowly growing their network out here in Los Angeles, and so we did the best we could. These are the numbers from the speed test. You can see here you can see here it was 16, 24, 7, 11. These are basically 3G speeds. Now, if you can get 4G on your Sprint network, you're going to do much better. So I definitely advise you to check with Sprint and see if they have plenty of cell towers in your area so that you can be able to utilize the phone from them as best as you possibly can. On the top, we have the speaker, which is for your calling. We have a front-facing camera and a small sensor. You have your capacitive touchscreen back button, home button, and menu button. And that's pretty much it for the front. The build on the outside of the LG Optimus G from Sprint in Korea is very different. very different than the build of the Optimus G from another carrier. You can see down here on the right side we've got a power button. We'll take a look at the top. On the top we've got an earphone jack. And then let's take a look down the left-hand side. On the left-hand side we have the rocker button. And that's pretty much it. And then on the bottom we have a sync charge port and a microphone hole, and then we have 2 screws which are holding the device in together. So like I said, the build of these is very different from the 2 devices, even though they're both called the LG Optimus G, which is kind of weird. Given it's kind of confusing. You're like, what? This is supposed to be the same phone, but the build is very different. Now you've got your camera in the back here. Of course, it's 13 megapixel. You got your flash lamp here, the LG logo, and some other data that you need to have here, made in Korea. So it looks like Korea had some involvement in making this device, so that's pretty cool. There's no real pop-out area for expanding memory or anything like that. You're locked into what's inside the phone. No removable back plate or anything like that. Okay, so here we have the Geekbench To Score, and this is a great score, close to 1700. It probably scores up in the higher ranges too. This is definitely above like an iPhone 5 or other things that are out there in the marketplace right now. It's got an integer score of 1214, a floating score point of 2,777, memory score 1221, and stream score 569. I'll page down through these briefly. You can pause these at any time if you want to see the individual numbers. Generally, you just need the general numbers, but some people like to do more. The great thing about all the apps we use in our presentation here is you can download them at home and use them to benchmark your current Android phone that you may have or other phones, and in doing so you can compare these phones to what you might like to take and purchase. Okay, so here you can see the massive rating score that we got with the AnTuTu benchmark, 2.9.4, 11,227. That's massive. Most cell phones do half that. You can see the RAM, CPU integers, all the good stuff there. Okay, so here we have, we're using the benchmark and scoring app, and you can see here it's scored at the top, number 1 in the chart, 17,515, above the HTC One S. Definitely rock and roll. You gotta love the quad core. Okay, so here's our numbers with CF Bench Pro version 1.2. You can see this here, and of course you can pause this here as we go down through it so you can take and see the individual numbers, but the main number we're looking for here is at the bottom, and that's going to be the overall score. You can see the native and Java scores too, but the overall score is 14,365. You can see the device topped out, beating the S3, the One X, the Galaxy S2, HTC Sensation, etc. And just the math. Okay, so here we're using the Quadrant standard test, and the device scored 5850. You can see at the very top of the chart above the HTC One X and Asus Transformer, etc., etc. Just a top performing rock and roll speed phone. Speed makes a difference in everything. Calling, quality, downloads, internet connection, makes all the difference in the world. Okay, so here we can see this is the Passmark Performance Test mobile app we're doing. It scored the LG 2337 on system scores. I'll page down here, and of course you can pause anytime if you like. CPU tests 8428, disk tests 4808, memory test 2187, the 2D graphics test 1810, and then 3D graphics test 769. Okay, so here you can see the colors on the LG Optimus G, and this is one of the other reasons I really love the phone, and it's become my favorite phone, is because it's got a crisp, sharp, beautifully colored screen. The images are sharper than some of the other phones we've even compared with. It's sharper than my iOS devices. We're really super impressed with it. They did probably one of the sharpest colorization screens that I've ever seen. You can see here really strong on everything, but it's very well balanced too if you really look at the color mapping and how it comes out. So I'm very impressed with it. You can see some of the other color situations and stuff like that here. Very great colors. Okay, so now here you can see the GPS test. What this does with the GPS test, it just tells us how well the device can pick up all the GPS satellites that are out there, how many in use it can pick up and view, and how well it can get with an accuracy of 10 feet, which is what most mobile phones can take and do. If they struggle to get to 10 feet, then there's kind of a problem. So anyway, you have 19 to 20 in view, 15 in use. You have an accuracy within 10 feet, so that's very, very good. Okay, so here you can see the results using the GL Benchmark 2.5.1 app. You can see here we came in at 3,179 frames at 28 frames per second on the first scoring, and on the second off-screen, 2286 frames at 20 frames per second. Okay, so now here's what you can see is the billion counter test. This basically tests how quickly the device can count to 1 billion and how much time it takes. Did it in 25.199 seconds, which is really good. Okay, so here you can see we came with the benchmark with the AnTuTu 3D rating benchmark at 5426. Here you can see the KFS benchmark score. This measures your OpenGL performance. It came in with a total overall frames per second of 35.683 frames. Here is the Velamo score test. This shows this tests a lot of HTML5, JavaScript, things of that nature on a lot of different websites. 1480 was the Velamo score that took and got, 541 for the Metal score. Here we have the SQL Lite performance test by RL Benchmark. This tests inserts, indexes, string comparisons, drop tables, all that good stuff. It scored 25.224 seconds. Okay, so here we have the AND-E benchmark score. What this does is measures threads, both native and Java. It came in at 7120 in the native thread area, and in the Java thread came in at 283. Okay, so here we're showing on the iPad 3 how well the front-facing camera performs on the LG. We've blocked out the other side because we want you to know that this is the side to look at. Yeah, it's a 1.3 megapixel camera, so it's going to do okay when it comes to broadcasting video from a front-facing status. Okay, now one of the most impressive things with the LG, on top of its speed and build and beauty and great screen, is the camera. 13 megapixel camera. Now I've seen some cameras that claim to be higher, and we compare them with 8 megapixel cameras that have high quality optics. We find they're kind of crappy, especially when you blow them up, and they tend to digitize when you blow them up. We've blown up the pictures and compared them side by side on an external computer so that we could see how the photos actually looked when they were removed from the phones. And yeah, the 13 megapixel is super impressive, and I'm very jealous not to have a Sprint phone that I can keep. Maybe I can work them into letting you keep this one. So anyway, let's talk about, you've got most of the same stuff that you would find on the menu with Android here. You got front-facing camera. The cool thing about the LG UI is they make it so you can customize everything that's over here, which I really like. The other thing they have that's really cool is they have this thing where you can say some words to be able to take and activate the shutter on the camera. So that's really neat. We don't want to do that right now. You can also, of course, do time catch shots if you want. You can change this all around. You've got your ability to change between some different continuous shots, etc., etc. You can edit that whole menu, so I love that. Zoom, flash, brightness, focus, image size you can adjust. Scene mode, you can take and do several different things with the scene mode. Let's take a look at color effects. You've got some basic color effects there. Auto review, reset, camera help guide, all that good stuff. Going to the video, you can choose, of course, between long video and MMS video. You can see here you can, of course, adjust this menu also. You've got zoom, brightness, audio recording, auto review, all that sort of good stuff. You've even got different things, live effects that you can take and put into place. You've got silly faces, which are pretty interesting. You got different backgrounds, of course, that you can take and do. Some crazy effects that go on here with what you've got set up in here. Of course, you can lower the quality of the images. Okay, so now in taking a look at the photos, we're very impressed. This is a very close shot up close to some wood. Normally you can't get within a few inches with most mobile phones before you really lose their ability to get close up on a macro level, if you will. This is really close up against the grain of wood, probably within an inch, half an inch, and it comes out with a great shot. everything, like I said, we compared the photos on the phone, and they were just amazingly good. This is an awesome rockin' 13 megapixel camera, and very impressive from what we saw of our tests of it. Let's take a look at a few more. You see the colors are awesome. The detail is just incredible that you can take and get out of these. And so we were very impressed. This is a sunsetting shot, so it's not going to have quite as good as that shot. You can see here the colors are very rich, very rich. And you can even see how the sky is changing and getting darker as it goes up. Most times when you shoot a shot like this, you actually just kind of see all blue. It's like blown out, boom. You can actually see the gradients that come up. So we were really impressed by that. And of course, here's another tight shot that we're shooting. Just everything came out really, really well when it came to the shots with this phone. Now, even in flash mode, where we're using the flash in a completely blacked out environment, this is a completely blacked out environment, the camera did awesome at executing the flash and finding its subject, and also bringing out the brilliant colors. Just great, great photos, et cetera, that we got out of the flash. Same thing with the video in a completely dark situation where we're using the lamp to light it up. It's very, very bright on the lamp. Got the colors really well. We could probably light up a whole hallway with this lamp. Just really, really good performance when it came down to how the lamp performed in the darkness. Here you can see an outside video shot where we're shooting in the outdoors. Once again, you can see the gradient richness of the colors on the screen. I love this phone. It's really freaking awesome. I love the 13 megapixel camera. Just look how beautiful that screen is. You can see here the details on the concrete, and then of course we'll come in close. Just a beautiful freaking camera. I mean, if you really love cameras, you might want to buy this just for the camera alone. So we love it. We love the camera. We think it's freaking awesome. There are some cameras that say they're above 8 megapixels and they kind of suck at it. This definitely rocks. So all over with the testing that we've done with the LG Optimus, I'm very impressed with the LG Optimus product. I really like it coming out. Of course, it does have 4G. If you're looking at the Nexus, that does not have 4G, even though evidently it's being discovered now that there's a radio hidden in it for some reason. Anyway, on the LG Optimus G, for me and my money, it rock and rolls. I love the phone. With that, I would highly recommend it. Be sure to go to sprint.com. That's sprint.com. Tell them Chris Voss sent you. Chris Voss tested. Chris Voss approved. And pick out a phone that works for you. If it's not an LG, pick out one of the other ones. But definitely give the LG some super considerations. It's definitely an underrated, under-considered phone, and a lot of people are missing the boat by just not doing the work and understanding how powerful these quad cores really are. Take a look at the speeds of the phones that you're playing with or testing out or looking into, because it makes a huge difference. You can really notice the speed with these quad cores. They make a huge difference when you're interacting with Facebook. You know, you've got sluggish apps with Facebook, Google Plus, and stuff like that. They really help speed up those problematic apps and help you get stuff done quickly. So be sure to check those out. Be sure to check back to chrisvossshow.com often. We have all the major phone carriers sending us stuff and lots of other tech goodies. So be sure to subscribe to all of our channels so you can take and get all the latest. Thanks for coming by, everyone.